The deep space listening station hummed with quiet intensity. Dr. Maya Chen's fingers hovered over the holographic display, her breath catching as an impossible signal resolved into clarity. Most scientists would have dismissed it as cosmic interference, but Maya knew better. The signal was a message, intricate, complex, and definitely not from Earth. The massive radio telescope array stretched across the New Mexico desert like a mechanical spider web. Its massive dishes pointed toward the infinite darkness of space. Each antenna was a marvel of human engineering, capable of detecting the faintest whispers from the deepest reaches of the universe. Maya's hands moved with practiced precision, her augmented reality interface dancing with streams of data that would look like incomprehensible noise to anyone else. But she saw patterns, intricate, mathematical rhythms that suggested something far beyond random stellar radiation. "Computer, run advanced correlation analysis," she muttered, her voice barely breaking the sterile silence of the research facility. The holographic display flickered, then exploded with a complex web of interconnected data points. Something was definitely different about this signal. It wasn't just noise. It wasn't a pulsar. It wasn't any known astronomical phenomenon. It was a message. Her research partner, Dr. James Rodriguez, burst through the door, his usual calm demeanor replaced by barely contained excitement. "Maya, are you seeing this?" She nodded, her eyes never leaving the display. "It's structured, too structured to be natural. Someone, or something, is trying to communicate." The signal originated from a region deep within the Orion Nebula, a vast stellar nursery typically associated with new star formation. But this was different. The mathematical complexity suggested an intelligence far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. "We need to verify," James said, moving to another console. "Let's run a triple redundancy check. No way we're going to let this slip through without absolute confirmation." Their team had spent years preparing for this moment. The Deep Space Communication Research Center was more than just a listening post. It was humanity's first line of contact with potential extraterrestrial intelligence. Funded by a consortium of global scientific organizations, the facility represented the absolute pinnacle of human technological achievement. Maya zoomed in on the signal's mathematical structure. It was beautiful, an intricate dance of prime numbers, quantum frequency modulations, and complex geometric patterns that seemed to fold in on themselves in ways that defy traditional understanding of communication. "It's like a language," she whispered, "but not a language of words, a language of pure mathematical concept." The computer began breaking down the signal, revealing layers of complexity that grew more intricate with each analysis. What had initially appeared as a simple repeated pattern was actually a multi-dimensional communication matrix. Each layer revealed new levels of information, like an impossible puzzle box constantly unfolding. James looked up from his console, his face pale. "The signal's origin point is moving. It's not stationary like we initially thought. Whatever is sending this, it's deliberate, controlled." Outside the facility's reinforced windows, the New Mexico desert stretched into infinity. Massive satellite dishes continued their silent vigil, listening to the cosmic symphony that most of humanity remained unaware of. Maya's hand trembled slightly as she input the final verification codes. "We need to notify the United Earth Defense Council. This isn't just a scientific discovery anymore. This is first contact." The signal continued its mesmerizing dance across the holographic display, a mathematical melody from the depths of space, waiting to be understood. Humanity stood on the precipice of the greatest moment in its history, and most of the world didn't even know it yet. Something was out there, and it was trying to communicate. The United Earth Defense Council chamber fell into a hushed silence as the holographic projection flickered to life. Representatives from every major nation sat rigid in their seats, the weight of potential history pressing down on their shoulders. The signal from the Orion Nebula had transformed a routine meeting into something extraordinary. Dr. Maya Chen stood at the center of the circular platform, her presentation cutting through the tension like a surgical blade. Behind her, Complex visualizations of the alien signal danced and shifted, revealing layers of mathematical complexity that defied conventional understanding. "This is not a random transmission," she began, her voice steady despite the magnitude of her announcement. "This is a deliberate communication attempt from an intelligence we cannot yet comprehend." Captain Marcus Rodriguez sat near the front, his weathered face a mask of concentration. A veteran of multiple deep space missions, he had seen more than most, but nothing like this. His cybernetic interface quietly processed the incoming data, cross-referencing everything known about potential extraterrestrial communication. The Global Security Director, Elena Kaminsky, leaned forward. "Dr. Chen, what are the immediate implications? Is this a potential threat?" Maya's holographic display shifted, showing complex probability matrices. "It's not a threat in the traditional sense. This is an invitation. A challenge, perhaps. The signal contains layers of information that suggest a desire for communication, not conflict." Around the table, national representatives exchanged nervous glances. Some saw opportunity, others saw potential danger. The United States representative, a sharp-eyed woman named Sarah Bennett, spoke up. "How can we be certain this isn't some elaborate deception?" Captain Rodriguez interjected. "We can't be certain, but we can be prepared." The room's environmental controls seemed to tighten, the air growing thick with anticipation. Advanced communication systems hummed with potential, ready to process any incoming transmission at a moment's notice. Dr. James Rodriguez, no relation to the captain, pulled up additional analysis. The signal's mathematical structure suggests a civilization far more advanced than our own, but it's not aggressive. It's almost educational, like a complex puzzle waiting to be solved. A holographic representation of the signal began to unfold in the center of the room. It was beautiful, a three-dimensional lattice of light and mathematical precision that seemed to breathe with its own intelligence. Each rotation revealed new layers of complexity, mathematical concepts that seemed to exist between known dimensions. "We've assembled a response team," Captain Rodriguez explained. "Top scientists, linguists, mathematicians, and communication experts. If this is truly first contact, we need to represent humanity's best." The global security protocols were unlike anything previously developed. Multiple fail-safe systems had been put in place, allowing for communication while maintaining strict protective measures. No single nation would control this moment. It was a truly global effort. Elena Kaminsky's augmented display showed real-time global reactions. Social media was already buzzing, conspiracy theories spinning out of control. But the scientific community remained focused, waiting for official confirmation. "We'll need to move quickly," Maya said. "The signal suggests a narrow window of communication. Whatever sent this message is waiting for a response." Captain Rodriguez nodded. "We're ready to transmit a preliminary response. Mathematical sequences that demonstrate our understanding, our intelligence. We'll show them we're listening." The room held its collective breath. Humanity stood on the edge of its greatest moment. First contact with an extraterrestrial intelligence. No one knew what would happen next. But they were ready. In the silence of the United Earth Defense Council chamber, the future was about to begin. The first visual confirmation came at 3:47 hours Global Standard Time. Orbital tracking systems lit up with a display that defied every known principle of spacecraft design. It wasn't massive or intimidating. Instead, the vessel was elegant, almost organic. Crystalline structures shifted and realigned as it approached Earth's orbital perimeter, sending advanced scanning waves that seemed to flow like liquid light. Dr. Maya Chen watched from the primary observation deck of the International Space Research Station, her breath caught in her throat. Years of theoretical research had prepared her for this moment, but nothing could truly capture the raw wonder of first contact. "Incoming transmission," the station's communication officer announced, his voice remarkably calm. Multiple frequency bands activating simultaneously. Captain Marcus Rodriguez studied the incoming data streams, his augmented neural interface processing information, faster than any human brain could comprehend. The alien vessel's approach was methodical, almost cautious, not the aggressive invasion many had feared, but something far more nuanced. The vessel's exterior seemed to breathe. Crystalline structures rippled and shifted, creating patterns that were simultaneously mathematical and artistic. It wasn't just a spacecraft. It was a living system of extraordinary complexity. Scanning protocols are unlike anything we've seen, Dr. James Rodriguez muttered, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. They're not just gathering data. They're engaging in a form of communication we can barely comprehend. Global defense systems remained on high alert, but no aggressive moves were detected. Instead, the alien vessel maintained a precise orbital distance, its scanning waves washing over Earth's technological infrastructure like gentle, inquisitive fingers. Military analysts around the world held their collective breath. This was nothing like the invasion scenarios countless science fiction stories had predicted. This was something else entirely, a sophisticated, almost diplomatic approach. Maya's research team had spent years developing potential first contact protocols. Now those theoretical discussions were becoming reality. The scanning waves carried complex mathematical sequences, not threats, but what seemed to be an elaborate form of greeting. "They're testing our technological capabilities," Captain Rodriguez observed, "but not as a threat. More like an assessment." The space station's quantum communication array began to resonate with the incoming signals. Complex geometric patterns emerged on every display, mathematical concepts that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. It was beautiful, a language of pure information that transcended traditional communication. Orbital satellites repositioned themselves, not through human command, but in response to the alien vessel's scanning waves. The entire planetary communication network seemed to be engaging in an intricate dance with the extraterrestrial visitor. "Look at the quantum entanglement patterns," James said, pointing to a particularly complex display. "They're not just scanning. They're establishing a form of communication that goes beyond traditional electromagnetic signals." Global leaders watched in real time as the most significant moment in human history unfolded. Military commanders remained on high alert, but the initial fear was transforming into something else: curiosity, wonder, and a growing sense of anticipation. The alien vessel's approach was methodical. Each scan revealed new layers of complexity. It was as if the spacecraft itself was a living intelligence, probing, learning, understanding. Maya noticed something extraordinary. The scanning waves were adaptive. They changed based on the information they received. When human technological systems responded, the alien vessel's approach subtly shifted. It was learning, in real time, how to communicate. "This isn't an invasion," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "This is a conversation." As hours passed, the initial tension began to dissolve. The alien vessel maintained its position, continued its intricate scanning dance. Global communication networks hummed with potential, scientific teams around the world working frantically to understand this extraordinary moment. Humanity stood at the threshold of something unprecedented. First contact was no longer a theoretical concept. It was happening, right now, in this very moment. And everything was about to change. The global research facility buzzed with an electric intensity that defied description. Dr. Maya Chen's team had been preparing for this moment for decades, and now their most sophisticated technological defense network was about to be tested in ways no one could have anticipated. Dr. James Rodriguez adjusted a series of quantum communication arrays, his hands moving with practiced precision. "Incoming scan pattern detected," he called out, initiating adaptive response protocol. What looked like a simple bank of computers was actually humanity's most advanced technological marvel. Each system was interconnected through a quantum neural network that could learn, adapt, and respond faster than any known computational system. The alien vessel's probing scans encountered something unprecedented. A defensive network that didn't just block intrusion but actively learned from each attempt. Maya watched the holographic displays transform, mathematical patterns dancing across multiple dimensions. The alien scanning waves approached, complex and intricate, expecting to find a predictable technological infrastructure. Instead, they met a living, breathing system of unprecedented complexity. First Contact Protocol is more than just defense, Maya explained to the International Observation Team. It's a conversation. We're not just blocking. We're communicating. The quantum network began to do something extraordinary. As the alien scans washed over Earth's technological infrastructure, the human systems didn't just resist. They began to decode, to understand, to respond. Within minutes, the research team had begun to unravel 60% of the alien communication protocols. Captain Marcus Rodriguez studied the incoming data, his augmented neural interface working overtime. "They're testing us," he muttered, but not like an invasion, more like an evaluation. The holographic displays showed layer upon layer of communication. Where the alien scans expected resistance, they found curiosity. Where they anticipated simple defensive mechanisms, they encountered a learning system that adapted in real time. Dr. Elena Kaminsky, the lead global security coordinator, leaned forward. "They're probing our technological capabilities. But why?" James's fingers flew across the quantum interface. "It's like a complex handshake. They're trying to understand our technological potential, not just our defensive capabilities." The research facility's environmental controls seemed to hum with anticipation. Outside, the New Mexico desert stretched into infinity, unaware that humanity was engaged in the most significant technological exchange in its history. Each scan from the alien vessel was met with a response that was both defensive and communicative. The human systems didn't just block. They learned. They analyzed. They responded with increasingly complex mathematical sequences that demonstrated humanity's unique approach to problem-solving. "Look at the quantum entanglement patterns," Maya said, pointing to a particularly intricate display. "We're not just responding. We're engaging in a form of technological dialogue." The alien vessel's scanning waves began to change. Where initial probes had been methodical and predictable, they now became more nuanced. It was as if the extraterrestrial intelligence was recalibrating its understanding of human technological capabilities. Captain Rodriguez noticed something extraordinary. "They're adjusting their communication approach based on our responses. This isn't a simple scan. This is a conversation." Global scientific teams worked in perfect synchronization. The quantum network was more than a defensive system. It was a living, learning entity that represented humanity's most advanced technological achievement. Within hours, the research team had decoded complex communication protocols that would have taken traditional scientific approaches decades to understand. The alien vessel's scanning waves had become a collaborative exploration, a mutual attempt to understand. "We're not just defending," Maya whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "We're communicating." As the day progressed, the initial tension began to transform. What had started as a potential threat was becoming something else entirely. A sophisticated, multilayered exchange of technological and scientific understanding. Humanity stood at the threshold of something unprecedented. First contact was no longer a theoretical concept. It was happening, right now, in this very moment. And everything was about to change. The United Earth Research Center fell silent as the alien challenge materialized on the primary holographic display. What appeared initially as a complex geometric puzzle quickly revealed itself as something far more intricate. A multidimensional problem that would test the very limits of human intellectual and technological capabilities. Dr. Maya Chen studied the challenge with an intensity that bordered on reverence. Each layer of the puzzle seemed to unfold like a living mathematical organism, revealing new depths of complexity with every passing moment. "This is extraordinary," she muttered, her fingers tracing holographic projections that danced with impossible geometric patterns. "It's not just a test, it's an invitation." Dr. James Rodriguez positioned himself at the primary quantum computing array, his neural interface already interfacing with the most advanced analysis systems humanity had ever developed. The challenge before them was unlike anything in human scientific history, a series of interconnected problems that seemed to exist simultaneously in multiple dimensions of understanding. The first layer appeared to be a mathematical sequence that defied traditional computational approaches, where most species would spend generations attempting to decode its basic structure. The human team began to see patterns within moments. Captain Marcus Rodriguez watched from the observation deck, his augmented neural systems processing the incoming data streams. "They're not just testing our mathematical capabilities," he observed to the global research team. "They're exploring how we think." Global scientific teams from every continent worked in perfect synchronization. Research stations in Beijing, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, and New York collaborated in real time, sharing insights and breaking down the complex challenge layer by layer. The puzzle was brilliantly constructed. Each solved section revealed a new, more complex challenge. It was as if the alien creators were actively watching, adapting the test based on human responses. Where traditional problem-solving would hit walls, the human approach found creative solutions that seemed to surprise the very system challenging them. "Look at how we're approaching this," Maya explained to the international observation team. "We're not just solving the puzzle, we're redefining the concept of problem-solving." The challenge touched on multiple domains of knowledge. Mathematical sequences intertwined with quantum physical principles, biological system modeling, and computational theory. It was a test that required not just intelligence, but creativity, collaboration, and an ability to think beyond conventional boundaries. Dr. Elena Kaminsky, watching from the Global Security Coordination Center, leaned forward with intense curiosity. "They're not just testing our intelligence," she realized. "They're testing our potential." Hours passed, but time seemed to lose meaning. The research team worked with a level of synchronization that bordered on the supernatural. Neural interfaces, quantum computing systems, and human creativity merged into a single, powerful problem-solving entity. What would have taken most species generations to solve, humans began dismantling in hours. Each layer of the challenge revealed humanity's true strength, an ability to see connections where others saw barriers, to approach problems with a flexibility that defied traditional scientific methodology. "It's not about having the right answer," James said, his voice filled with excitement. "It's about the approach, the creativity, the willingness to reimagine the problem itself." The alien challenge became more than a test. It was a conversation, a mutual exploration of intellectual potential, where the extraterrestrial creators expected linear problem-solving. They encountered something entirely unexpected, a human approach that was fluid, adaptive, and profoundly creative. Global communication networks hummed with excitement. Scientific teams around the world watched in real time as humanity demonstrated its unique intellectual capabilities. As the final layers of the challenge began to unfold, something extraordinary happened. The puzzle itself began to change, adapting to the human approach. It was as if the challenge was learning from the very species it was testing. Maya caught her breath. "They're not just testing us," she whispered. "They're learning from us." The research center buzzed with an energy that defied description. Humanity stood at the threshold of something unprecedented, a moment of first contact that was transforming into a profound intellectual exchange. Everything was about to change. The global research facility transformed overnight. What had begun as a defensive first contact scenario had evolved into something far more profound, a collaborative exploration that challenged everything humanity understood about interstellar communication. Dr. Maya Chen stood before the international delegation, her presentation hologram casting a soft blue light across the conference room. Behind her, complex visualizations of the alien communication patterns danced and shifted, revealing layers of understanding that went far beyond traditional scientific boundaries. "They're not just communicating," she explained, her voice steady and filled with wonder. "They're inviting us into a conversation that spans entire civilizations. Captain Marcus Rodriguez studied the incoming data streams, his augmented neural interface processing information at speeds that would have been impossible just months ago. The alien visitors had moved from initial scanning protocols to something far more nuanced, a form of intellectual exchange that defied conventional understanding. Dr. James Rodriguez, the lead quantum communication specialist, pointed to a particularly complex holographic display. "Look at the communication patterns," he said. "They're adapting their communication approach based on our responses. It's not just information exchange. It's a mutual learning process." The alien vessel maintained its orbital position, its crystalline structure now seeming less like a spacecraft and more like a living communication hub. Each interaction revealed new layers of complexity, new approaches to understanding that challenged human scientific paradigms. Global scientific teams worked in unprecedented collaboration. Research stations in Tokyo, Berlin, Cape Town, and Buenos Aires shared real-time insights, breaking down cultural and technological barriers that had seemed insurmountable just weeks before. The challenge was never about competition, Maya explained to the International Observation Team. It was about demonstrating our potential for collaboration. Dr. Elena Kaminsky, the Global Security Coordinator, watched the interactions with a mixture of fascination and caution. The initial fear of invasion had transformed into something entirely unexpected. A sophisticated intellectual exchange that redefined the concept of first contact. The alien visitors began sharing scientific knowledge that defied human understanding. Complex solutions to environmental challenges, advanced medical technologies, and insights into fundamental physics began to emerge. But it wasn't a simple transfer of information. It was a collaborative process of mutual discovery. "They're testing our ability to understand," Captain Rodriguez observed. "Not our technological capabilities, but our capacity for growth." Each communication cycle revealed something extraordinary. The alien civilization approached knowledge differently, not as a set of fixed principles, but as a living, evolving system of understanding. They seemed genuinely fascinated by humanity's unique approach to problem-solving. Research teams discovered that human creativity was something truly unique. Where other civilizations might approach challenges with rigid, linear thinking, humans demonstrated an ability to reimagine problems entirely. This flexibility became the key to the ongoing communication. "We're not just receiving information," James said during a global broadcast. "We're engaging in a profound intellectual partnership." The quantum communication networks hummed with an energy that seemed almost alive. Global communication systems transformed, becoming more adaptive, more responsive. The technology itself seemed to be learning, growing, evolving alongside the alien interaction. Maya caught a moment of profound realization. "They're not here to conquer," she whispered to her closest colleagues. "They're here to understand." As days turned into weeks, the initial tension of first contact dissolved completely. The alien vessel became a symbol of potential, a living representation of the possibility of interstellar cooperation. Global divisions began to fade as humanity united around this extraordinary moment of discovery. Scientific breakthroughs emerged at an unprecedented rate. Environmental solutions, medical technologies, and fundamental understanding of the universe began to shift. But more importantly, humanity was learning something far more valuable: the art of true communication. The research facility buzzed with an energy that defied description. Humanity stood at the threshold of something unprecedented, a moment of first contact that was transforming into a profound intellectual partnership. Everything was about to change. And the journey was just beginning. The United Nations General Assembly Hall had never witnessed a moment quite like this. Representatives from every nation stood in hushed anticipation as the first truly extraterrestrial diplomatic delegation prepared to address global leadership. Dr. Maya Chen sat among the scientific advisors, her hands clasped tightly as she watched the proceedings. The results of the adaptive challenge had sent shockwaves through every level of human society, rewriting decades of scientific understanding and diplomatic protocols. Captain Marcus Rodriguez stood at the formal reception area, serving as the primary human representative. His diplomatic training had prepared him for complex international negotiations, but nothing could have truly readied him for this moment. The alien delegation entered, not as conquerors, but as colleagues. Their physical form was both familiar and utterly alien, crystalline beings that seemed to shimmer with internal light, communicating through complex geometric patterns that danced across their translucent surfaces. Humanity has demonstrated something extraordinary. The lead alien representative communicated through a sophisticated quantum translation system. The words appeared simultaneously in every language, their meaning transcending linguistic barriers. Global media channels broadcast the event to billions. What had begun as a potential threat of invasion had transformed into the most significant diplomatic moment in human history. The adaptive challenge had proven that humanity was not just a potential threat to be contained, but a civilization with unprecedented potential for collaboration. Dr. James Rodriguez analyzed the communication protocols in real time. The translation wasn't just linguistic, it was a comprehensive exchange of cultural, scientific, and philosophical understanding. Each word carried layers of meaning that went far beyond traditional communication. The diplomatic breakthrough revealed something profound. The galactic community had been watching humanity for centuries, waiting for a moment of true potential. The adaptive challenge was more than a test. It was an invitation to join a broader interstellar community. "We do not seek to control," the alien representative continued. "We seek to understand." Humanity has demonstrated a capacity for innovation that is rare in the known universe. Alina Kaminsky, the global security coordinator, watched in awe. The initial fear of invasion had completely dissolved. Instead, humanity was being offered something unprecedented, a true partnership among civilizations. The diplomatic protocols that emerged were revolutionary. Humanity would be invited to participate in galactic research initiatives, share technological advancements, and become part of a broader interstellar knowledge network. It was more than diplomatic recognition. It was a fundamental reshaping of humanity's place in the universe. Scientific teams from around the world began preparing for unprecedented collaborative research. Medical breakthroughs, environmental solutions, and technological innovations that had seemed impossible now became potential realities. "Your ability to reimagine problems," the alien representative explained, "is your greatest strength. Where other civilizations see barriers, humanity sees opportunities." The United Nations chamber transformed before everyone's eyes. What had been a traditional diplomatic space now became a symbol of humanity's potential. The crystalline alien representatives moved with a grace that suggested they were as fascinated by humans as humans were by them. Global communication networks hummed with excitement. Social media exploded with hope, wonder, and a sense of collective achievement. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and more importantly, humanity was being recognized as a unique and valuable civilization. Maya caught a moment of eye contact with the lead alien representative. In that brief exchange, she understood something profound. This was not about conquest or submission. This was about collaboration, about expanding the boundaries of collective knowledge. "We invite you to join us," the representative communicated, not as subjects, but as partners. The diplomatic revolution was complete. Humanity had transformed from a potentially contained civilization to a respected member of a broader galactic community. The initial fear of first contact had given way to something far more powerful: mutual understanding and respect. As the first diplomatic session concluded, Captain Rodriguez realized that everything had changed. Humanity's greatest achievement was not technological superiority, but its capacity for understanding, for growth, for reimagining what was possible. The journey was just beginning. 5 years had passed since that extraordinary moment of first contact. The International Research Station orbiting Earth had become something far more than anyone could have imagined. A living testament to human potential and interstellar collaboration. Dr. Maya Chen stood at the primary observation deck, watching as human and alien researchers worked side by side. The station was a marvel of engineering and cooperation, its crystalline corridors seamlessly blending human technological design with alien architectural principles. Captain Marcus Rodriguez approached, his stride confident yet thoughtful. "Hard to believe how much has changed," he said, looking out at the vast expanse of space. The global landscape had transformed completely. What had begun as a potential invasion had become the most significant collaborative effort in human history. Research stations now spread across multiple star systems, each one a beacon of shared knowledge and mutual understanding. Dr. James Rodriguez monitored the quantum communication networks, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with living information. The technological exchange had accelerated human development by centuries, if not millennia. Environmental challenges that had seemed insurmountable were now being solved through collaborative research. Climate restoration projects, advanced medical technologies, and sustainable energy solutions emerged at an unprecedented rate. Humanity had discovered that its greatest strength was not technological superiority, but its capacity for creative problem-solving and adaptation. The alien visitors, now true partners, had been particularly impressed by humanity's ability to approach challenges from multiple perspectives. Where other civilizations might approach problems linearly, humans demonstrated a unique capacity for multidimensional thinking. Global communication networks had been completely transformed. The quantum communication systems developed through the interstellar collaboration allowed for near-instantaneous communication across vast distances. Cultural barriers began to dissolve as humanity united around a broader, more inclusive understanding of its place in the universe. Elena Kaminsky, now the lead coordinator for interstellar diplomatic relations, watched the research station's daily operations with a sense of wonder. The initial fear of first contact had given way to something far more profound, a true partnership of civilizations. "We're not just exploring space," Maya explained during a global broadcast. "We're expanding the very concept of what's possible." The research initiatives were extraordinary. Joint teams worked on projects that would have seemed like pure science fiction just a decade earlier. Quantum communication systems that could bridge entire galaxies. Medical technologies that could reverse cellular aging. Environmental restoration techniques that could transform entire planetary ecosystems. Each breakthrough revealed something fundamental about the nature of intelligence and collaboration. The alien visitors had discovered that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to reimagine problems entirely, to see connections where others saw barriers. Captain Rodriguez reflected on the journey. "We didn't conquer the stars," he often said. "We learned to understand them." The research station became a symbol of hope and potential. Young scientists from every corner of the globe competed for positions, eager to be part of this unprecedented collaborative effort. The initial divisions of nationality, ethnicity, and cultural background seemed to fade in the face of this broader, more inclusive understanding. As Maya looked out over the station, she understood something profound. This was more than a technological achievement. This was a fundamental transformation of human potential. The quantum communication networks hummed with an energy that seemed almost alive. Humanity had discovered that its true strength was not in military might or technological superiority, but in its capacity for understanding, for growth, for reimagining what was possible. "We are not alone," Maya whispered to herself, watching human and alien researchers work together. "And we are better together." The station continued its silent orbit, a beacon of hope and possibility. Humanity had taken its first true steps into a broader galactic community, not as conquerors, not as subjects, but as true partners. The journey was just beginning, and everything was possible.